main goal ko po is to practice my English kasi I'm really not confident about my English, especially when I'm talking in the spot. It's like no mental block po ako most of the time.
Okay. Session 1 today, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, nga pala, kamusta yung experience mo with the writing?
At first, it's quite overwhelming, pero ano naman siya. Kasi it's my first time na lang ulit na magbasa and mag-write in English. So, parang bago lang siya sa akin. And, yung first week ko is, okay naman, I've learned a lot po.
Okay. So, first time mo magsulat in a long time. How old ka na?
21 po. Kasi, I'm 19 years old when I graduated college. So, nung pumasok na ako sa work, is more on, more on computers lang kami, ganyan, numbers, and something like that. Okay.
I see. So, yun. Ngayon, balik ka dun sa pagsusulat. Ano yung main goal mo? Bakit ka nag-enroll sa amin?
Yung main goal ko po is to practice my English kasi I'm really not confident about my English, especially when I'm talking in the spot. It's like no mental block po ako most of the time.
Okay. So, no plans to work sa call center? Iba yung goal mo? More on personal improvement talaga?
Yes.
Alright, sure, no problem. In a lot of cases kasi, marami nag-enroll sa amin na nagpe-prepare sila for call center. The most common complaint that I receive is questions like, tell me something about yourself, talk about your background, talk about your work experience. Na sila, na parang nakakain yung nila, what do you call that? Hindi sila makapag-bring out ng words. And that's what happens to a lot of people. And kahit hindi sa call center, like ako, ang background ko naman is sales. And I also work in an office. So, usually, pag bago ka, papakilala ka, may program or may company meeting. Tapos, introduce yourself, talk about your background. So, wala na naman, right?
Yeah.
Sige. Have you seen any of our recordings? Yung mga coaching videos with the other students?
Yes, I've watched some of the videos on YouTube.
Okay, cool. So, alam mo nang gagawin natin. Papapiliin kita kung English or Taglish tayo this session. Do you want today's session to be English or Taglish muna habang nag-explain ako ng mga concept?
Let's try English na lang po.
Okay, sure. No problem. So, yeah. So, for today, we are going to talk about grammar, mostly. I'll also talk a little bit about pronunciation. And, yeah, let's get started. So, you also know that I'll be reading the first one, and then you will be reading the next few activities. All right?
All right.
Sure. So, what's the ultimate goal? Like, you mentioned that you just wanted to learn English to improve yourself. So, what does an improved you look like? What are you gonna use your English for?
First thing, I wanted to feel confident speaking in English because I'm planning to take the IELTS for me to go to Canada.
Oh, okay. So you're taking the IELTS and you're going to Canada. Let me just write that down real quick. When you go to Canada, are you gonna migrate there or something?
Yes, I'm planning to migrate.
Okay, and you're going to work there, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. I found your writing exercises. So I can see that you're also on the writing exercises. So week 1 writing exercises. I'm just gonna check real quick. make sure that there are no last names and complete addresses here. Okay,
Sure.
so this is fine. All right, sure. Let's begin. Let's begin. Uh, week one, activity one. It says here that my name is Jessa. I live in Caloocan City. Oh, wait, video. There we go. My name is Jessa. I live in Caloocan City. I studied financial management and accounting at Technological Institute of the Philippines. I work in a multinational company. I think multinational company should be small letters.
Alright.
As a data analyst. I'm not 100% sure, but I also think that data analyst should be small
Small
letters.
letter.
My hobby is making videos for my YouTube channel. Send me a link to your YouTube channel. I'll promote you to my students. I'm good at organizing my plans. I like to figure out what I lack and plan on how I can work on it. So you remember that, what do you call that? I gave you 3 major lessons in week one. The first big lesson is the long ebook that says removing bad habits. And then we have the one sentence paragraph, which I see you have been applying. And then the next lesson would be to shorten your sentences. In a lot of situations, the main reason why we a lot of the times the problem with our communication is something that we learn in the late years of high school and the early years of college. Like during high school, a lot of our communication is more intended for exhibition instead of communication. I'm pretty sure you noticed that when we got to the end of high school, a lot of our paragraphs are big. We have like 10 sentence paragraphs or 20 sentence paragraphs. We have like 50 sentence or 100 sentence essays. And then we were required to use advanced vocabulary words, right?
Yes.
So it's more exhibition than communication. And you mentioned that you are working as a data analyst. Now, if you're working as a data analyst, I can imagine that you have some specific terms, specific terminologies that only data analysts understand. And as a part of your job, I can imagine that you also present to, I'm not sure if it's the business owner or some of the decision makers in the company. You like write and present a report, right? Is that correct?
Not most of the time.
Yeah, but sometimes, right?
Yes.
When you are writing a report and presenting to someone else in the company, I imagine that not every person that you present to are data analysts, right?
Yes.
And so in those situations, it would help if you explain the term that you are using, or instead of explaining the term, because sometimes it takes a long time to explain a concept to someone who doesn't have data analyst training, you are going to use a more common term, right?
Yes.
So when you get into the business world, the corporate world, when you begin working as a professional, instead of using the insider term, when I say insider term, I mean the terms that, the words that only data analysts understand, you're going to use more common terms. So in the business world, in the corporate world, in the professional world, the main objective of speaking and writing is more to communicate a message. Our main goal is to get the other person to understand what we're saying. Okay? Instead
Yes.
of trying to show how awesome we are by our word choice and by how well we string together advanced sentences or complicated or complex sentences, right?
Mhm.
So what I'm teaching you is the opposite of what they taught us during the end of high school. All right? So in this case, so yeah, I have a long intro for that. If you look at this, I like to figure out what I lack and plan on how I can work on it. Is this a simple sentence or a complex sentence?
The complex one.
Yep. So, and that's why we have lesson 6, which is shorten your sentences. Uh, the shorter sentences will make this list of ideas easy to follow. So do not put your list of ideas in one sentence. So here, what I'm going to do here is I like to figure out what I lack. So maybe you could just use this sentence. Uh, Maybe I'm gonna write something like this. I spend time planning what's how I can work on it. How to compensate for what you lack, right? So work on it is so it, the pronoun it's not very specific at this point. So it's a little confusing. So I spend time planning how I can maybe overcome my weakness,
Mm.
right? Instead of the original. Instead of the original version of what you did, I split your sentence into two sentences. Can you read this part?
I like to figure out what I lack. I spend time planning on how I can overcome my weakness.
Do you feel that this is more understandable than the original version of this sentence?
Yes, definitely. And I just remember that you wrote on the activity that avoid using and, so, and but.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's more instructional, or it flows more than and it's less confusing for the reader. It's also less confusing for us because one of my biggest problems back when I was writing complicated sentences is I usually forget something in the middle.
Mhm.
So listing out your ideas in shorter formats make make it easy for me to remember what I need to remember and make sure that all of my thoughts are included or all of the important thoughts are included. I spend my time listening to the story of Dan Locke and other successful people. Are you a fan of Dan Locke?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, he has some good ideas back in 2016, but he changed in 2018, I think. Um, he did some stuff that's a little questionable. I was about to spend $1,500 on his course, and then luckily I didn't do it. I found another mentor who's probably 100 times bigger than Dan Locke, and he doesn't even charge me money.
How is that?
Hmm? Do you know Tim Ferriss?
No.
He's the author of the 4 Hour Work Week. He's friends with a lot of the tech CEOs. Do you know Gary V? Gary Vaynerchuk.
No.
Oh man, you should look for those people. They have.
What are those names? Cause I'm listing those names.
Well,
Team.
I'm just gonna email it to you. Um, yeah. So there you go. I know there's almost all of them are good at public speaking. Uh, Communication skill is one of the skills that I lack the most. Oh, by the way, I'll email you the notes at the end of the session, so that's fine. But take notes as well. Take notes on your end.
Okay.
My dream is to work in Canada as an analyst. So again, analyst might be a small letter.
Alright.
I love to travel. I enjoy being in a new environment. I always challenge myself by going out of my comfort zone. I think it's to go out of my comfort zone. I think this should be changed to go out of my comfort zone. I want to get a high paying job to achieve my financial goal while supporting my family. Okay, sure. So, yeah. Um, I guess this is fine. We've only made a couple of changes. So the first change that we had is to just remember to shorten the sentences
Okay.
to sound clearer. And,
Okay. Okay.
and then we changed by going to go. But I don't know what you call that. I don't know what you call that change, but here. Let me just highlight this green so you can see it. See that I changed it. Okay. Activity 2. So for activity 2, I added this longer explanation, but I'm gonna give you the short version. The longer explanation can be found in where the page where you can download activity 2. I added a new page with additional lessons there. So activity 2, the main purpose is teaching you how to ask and answer questions, and then I realized that activity 2 is also a problem solving technique. Like if you have a difficult question that you're trying to answer, usually for interview people, for interview situations, you can you can use a set of questions, a set of smaller questions to help you answer difficult questions. So in a lot of cases, people have told me that they have a hard time answering the question, tell me something about yourself. So instead of tell me something about yourself, it might take you a few minutes to think of an answer. But if I ask you, what's your name? What's your nickname? Where are you from? Or what do you enjoy doing? Or and so on, a lot of these questions will take like 1 or 2 seconds to answer, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a difficult question, just break your answer down into more specific, smaller questions, and then you can put the answers together to answer that big question. So you mentioned that you are vlogging on YouTube. If you're having trouble thinking of what to shoot in the video, just write a list of questions of what you want to share, and then you'll have your video idea. And there you go. Anyway, so yeah, just go read the explanation on the page. So
Okay.
next. So I'm gonna ask you to read week 1 activity 3. Hello? Hello? Are you still there? Hello? Did we get disconnected? Hello, Jessa? Hello? Oh, I might have. I'm just gonna call back.
Hello?
There we go. Okay, I hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. At this point, I'm going to ask you to read activity 3. How are you reading the activities? Are you reading on a cell phone or from your laptop, or do you have a printout of your answers or written down form of your answers?
From my laptop.
Okay, yeah. So when you read, do your best to sit up straight and look forward instead of looking down. Okay?
Alright.
And then take a deep breath and smile as you speak. Remember to slow down. If you are encountering, what do you call that? Whenever you see a period and a space, take that opportunity to breathe and relax your mouth and throat before speaking. A lot of people, when they speak, especially if you're not used to speaking, they try to speak fast, so it's over as fast as possible. Don't do that. Just slow down, read it one sentence at a time, the same way that I read it earlier. Okay?
Okay.
So, week 1 activity 3 is about giving instructions. So, yeah, go.
I live in Banasilang, Caloocan City. I'm working in a multinational company located in McHenry Taguig. It's just a few minutes walk from Venice Grand Canal Mall. Usually, my time travel is 3 hours going to work. Sometimes I'll leave 4 hours because of the traffic. My shift is usually at 7 p.m. I need to leave the house on or before 4 p.m. Here's what I ride going to work. I take a tricycle from our house to the jeepney station near us. When I get there, I take a jeepney to Robinson's Novaliches. When I get to Robinson's Novaliches, I head towards the UV station and ride a UV heading to Trinoma. When I get to Trinoma, I walk toward North Avenue MRT station. From North Avenue MRT station, I take the MRT to get off at Ayala station. When I get to Ayala station, I walk towards Glorieta 5 and wait for our company vehicle to arrive. The company vehicle will drop us straight to our office. It's a different story if you leave past 4 p.m. There is no way for you to make it on time unless you ride angkas. Angkas are very convenient and you only need a 2 hours ride to go to work. However, it's not financially practical. It will cost you 450 pesos one way. Being aware of my time really helps me save money.
Very good. Okay, so I noticed a few things. You read a lot of the words properly. So I don't need to teach you a lot in terms of how to speak the words or how to pronounce the words. I did notice something though. There are times when, so as Filipinos, we have two ways of pronouncing words. We have the Taglish pronunciation, and then we have the English pronunciation, which is actually how the word sounds. And for us Filipinos, the English pronunciation is the pronunciation that sounds maarte. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of your words already sound maarte, which is very good. But some of your words sound a little Taglish. Okay? So I'm gonna read activity 3 and let me know. I highlighted a few of the words that I noticed. you were going a little too fast, but yeah, I just did my best to highlight the words that I got on, and then pay attention to how I am reading the words and notice the difference. And it would also help if you took some notes on which words are different. Okay,
Okay.
so let's begin. Um, so I live in Bagong Silang, Caloocan. Sorry. I live in Bagong Silang, Caloocan City. I'm working. It should be at.
Yeah.
I'm working at a multinational company located in McKinley, Taguig. It's just a few minutes walk from the Venice Grand Canal Mall. So it's missing a the. So sometimes I get to fix the grammar just by reading things aloud. My travel time is usually 3 hours going to work. Sometimes I'll. Oh, let me just move this here. I'll sometimes need 4 hours because of the traffic. Let's highlight that. My shift is usually at 7 p.m. Oh, if it's 7 p.m., it should be small letters and there should be a space. It shouldn't be close together, okay?
Okay.
So my shift is usually 7 p.m. I need to leave the house on or before 4 p.m. Here's what I ride at work. Here's what I ride to work. I take a tricycle from our house. So earlier, I think you said from our house,
Yes.
but there are English words that need to be like close to. There are English words that need to flow with the next word. So I take a tricycle from our house. So instead of I take a tricycle from our house. Okay? So in the Taglish pronunciation, we enunciate all of the words equally. It's kind of like, where are you gonna eat? And then the Taglish answer would be, we're gonna eat at a restaurant, right? But in the English pronunciation, it's we're gonna eat in a restaurant, or we're gonna eat at the restaurant. So restaurant is like a shorter way of, you don't enunciate all of the syllables. It's more, it flows more, right? Instead of enunciating everything. So I take a tricycle from our house to the jeepney station near us. And then jeepney should be small.
Okay.
And then when I get there, I take a jeepney to Robinson's Novaliches. When I get to Robinson's Novaliches, I head towards the UV station and ride a UV heading to Trinoma. If I'm speaking to Americans, or especially if I'm just blogging in general, I never say UV. I also never say FX. Instead, I use the word shuttle.
Oh, okay.
It sounds more. The word shuttle sounds more universal than a UV. So if you're speaking with a Filipino, it sounds what do you call that? Like everyone understands it, right?
Yes.
Like I try to use more, what do you call that? More understandable words. Like instead of saying FX or shuttle, kasi pag sinabi mong FX, minsan hindi siya FX, minsan Revo siya, minsan van siya. So I use a term called I use the term shuttle, right? When I get to Trinoma, I walk toward the North Avenue MRT station. So, yeah, you need to learn how to add the to some of your sentences. Next, from North Avenue MRT station, I take the MRT to get off at Ayala Station. End. It should be end. Get off at Ayala Station. Kasi, ang translation niya is, from North Avenue MRT Station, sasakay ako ng MRT para bumaba sa Ayala Station. Diba? So, parang, hindi ka naman sumasakay para bumaba eh. Diba?
Yes.
So, if you're, in this case, nagkikwento ka. So, from North Avenue MRT Station, sasakay ako ng MRT at bababa ako sa Ayala Station and get off at Ayala Station. So, that's the better translation here. Kung papaghiwalayin ko to, I'm gonna ride the MRT at the North Avenue Station. Next sentence ko is, I'll get off the MRT at the Ayala Station. Kung hahatiin ko yun. Pero parang advanced tong tinuro ko sa'yo. Kasi complex sentence siya. Pero okay lang. Maayos. One of the reasons why I'm letting you go with some of the complex sentences is maayos yung grammar mo. In a lot of these. And understandable yung choice of words na ginamit mo. However, what I'd like to point out is there are small details like these. Nakakalimutan yung the, nagiging end instead na nagiging end dapat yung word. When I get to the Ayala Station, so dapat may the. When I get to the Ayala Station, I walk toward Glorieta 5 and wait for our company vehicle to arrive. Ano yung company vehicle nyo? Car? Shuttle?
It's a shuttle.
Oh. Mas maganda shuttle. Ako nahihirapan ako i-pronounce yung vehicle, lalo na pag mahaba yung sentence. So, shuttle is a lot easier to say. So, I use the word shuttle whenever possible. The company vehicle, hirap vehicle. Nabully ako dyan dahil sa word na yan. Kaya medyo may trauma ako sa word na vehicle. Buong school namin, binuli ako because of the word vehicle. And nakipagsuntukan ako sa anak ng general dahil sa buisit na vehicle na yan.
Seryoso?
Seryoso. And dun ko nalaman, kasi nag-aral ako sa magandang school nung time na yon, na kahit anong tapang mo, wala kang laban sa tao na nag-martial arts training mula pagkabata. Dugo-dugo ilong ko nung may boxing yata siya, kickboxing. And parang doon na-ingrain sa akin na yung mga tao na walang training, lugi sa mga tao na may training. So kung lugi ka, magbayad ka ng training. Ganun kasimple. The company vehicle will drop as, I think makikita mo sa callcentertrainingtips.com/bully. Or search mo. May search naman yung yung website ko. Search mo yung word na vehicle. Lalabas yung story na yun. It's a different story if you leave past 4 p.m. So, 4 p.m. So, may space. Okay. It's a different story if you leave past 4 p.m. There is no way for you to make it on time unless you ride angkas. Okay. So, if you are speaking to an international international audience, they do not know what angkas means. So, a more understandable choice of word here would be, unless you hire a motorcycle to get you to your destination, right?
Yes.
Instead na angkas. So, yeah, these are just some ideas because I don't know what you're gonna use your English for, since you already told me you're not gonna work in a call center. You're gonna migrate to Canada, so I don't know. You're gonna talk to some Canadians and talk about your life in the Philippines. So they don't know angkas. So we hire a motorcycle. In the Philippines, we hire a motorcycle to pick us up and take us to the destination, right?
Yes.
Angkas,
Sorry,
ito dapat is, right?
can I interrupt?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say um the paragraph there is no way?
Oh, sorry. Say that again, please.
Yes. Can you repeat how you say the word there?
Which one?
While there is no way for you to make it on time.
Okay. There is no way for you to make it on time unless you ride angkas.
Okay.
So if you want to keep using the word angkas, you need to explain what angkas is. So angkas is a service that's a lot like Uber, which is Uber is international, so everyone knows what Uber is. Angkas is like Uber, but instead of getting picked up by a car, you'll get picked up by a motorcycle or a scooter, right? So yeah. Um, so just add that sentence there. Angkas is very convenient, and you will only need 2 hours. I don't. You can remove this. I'm gonna highlight this red, so you remove this yourself. Angkas is very convenient, and you'll only need 2 hours ride to go to work. You can remove the ride because it's already redundant. Angkas is very convenient, and you'll only need 2 hours to go to work or to get to work. So I'm gonna change this. However, it's not financially practical. So this is one of the more advanced. I teach this. I become really strict with this at week 3. Instead of using a pronoun like it's, however, angkas
Oh,
is
yeah.
not financially practical. You want to learn how to be specific with your sentences. Because if you replace all of the proper nouns here with pronouns, like for example, like when I go to Trinoma, I walk toward North Avenue. So the rule that they teach us in school is after you use the pronoun of after you use the proper noun of a place, you change the proper noun into a pronoun. So from there, I take the MRT and get off at Ayala Station. When I get there, confusing na siya, right? If you use pronouns too much, it's gonna get confusing. And usually, in order to be specific, you sacrifice being a little more redundant than you should. But this is fine. However, angkas is not financially practical. May suggestions si Google are not. Pero this is one of the corrections na hindi ko i-follow. Kasi kaya lang niya iniisip na are not. Kasi akala niya plural to dahil may S. But, you
Actually,
know.
I've changed it kasi yung original is talaga, but then nakita ko yung line. So, I've changed it to R.
Oh, okay. Or if you want your sentence to be a little more specific, riding angkas is not financially practical. Oh, nawala yung underline. So I guess alam niya kasi naging singular siya when you added the word riding. Ito, nagiging R din siya dun sa sentence sa taas. Oh.
Wait. Please hold on.
Alright.
Can you speak? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, okay.
So we're at the last two sentences. It will cost you 450 pesos one way. I think you need a dash here. I'm not 100% sure. I usually don't put a dash, but ever since I paid for Grammarly, like I just follow the recommendations. Well, most of the time. Sometimes there are recommendations that are not very good. Being aware of my time really helps me save money. Okay, so this is all good. This is all good. We just found some of the missing stuff, and it's not a big deal. You mostly won't notice it, but if you apply these changes, your words are going to flow a lot smoother. Okay. Do you have any questions so far about the changes, pronunciation?
Um, uh, the words that are highlighted in yellow
Oh,
are for pronunciation,
yeah. Yellow
right?
is pronunciation. Green, red, and orange is usually grammar. If it's green, it means I changed it already. If it's red, those are words that you need to remove. If it's orange, it's I didn't change it. Like I'm just pointing out that kind of error if I highlight something orange. So let's proceed to. So remember, when you are reading, if you are going to decide between saying a word that doesn't sound maarte and saying a word that sounds maarte, if you're speaking English, say the word that sounds, use the pronunciation that sounds maarte, right?
Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. So if given the choice between pronouncing the word in a way that sounds casual or normal to you and pronouncing the word in a way that it sounds maarte, you have to choose the maarte pronunciation most of the time. Okay?
Okay.
Because that's how English sounds, right?
Yes.
It should be restaurant instead of restaurant. It has to be 20 instead of 20. It has to be 30 instead of 30, right? So
Okay.
that's how it is. Especially if you're including words that if you're including a mix of Filipino words with what you're about to say, like I see here on your activity 4. Um, so yeah, go ahead. Please proceed with activity 4. Please read these words aloud.
Jessa's favorite song. One of my favorite songs is Para Lang Sa'yo by Aiso Sigara. Back when I was in grade school, there's a popular love team named Jamich. The chemistry they have is exceptional given the fact that they are lovers in real life. They made a short film with the title Text. In the story, Jam and Michelle are best friends from grade school until they are in college. As time went by, Michelle started to fall in love with her best friend. Michelle kept it to herself because she was afraid that the friendship might be ruined. When Jam joined the fraternity group, he stopped seeing Michelle as well. One day, Michelle received news that Jam is in the hospital with a critical condition. It turns out that Jam was tortured by a group of guys which leads to his death. Michelle saw a text from his phone saying, I already stayed away from her like you guys said. Don't hurt her. I love her so much. He died without even saying personally what he really felt about her. It's a tragic story and I remembered crying my eyes out. The background song used in that film is Para Lang Sa'yo. For a very long time, I thought the song is all about best friends turning to lovers. It's in my early 20s that I realized that the song is all about forgiveness. It's about accepting the past and able to love again.
Okay. I didn't hear a lot of pronunciation problems, which is good. Well, I'm happy that intro worked. I it's my first time doing that in a session. Um, There are a few things that I'd like to teach you in this section. Wait, let me just finish with the edits.
Actually, one of my problems when in terms of talking is that I really talk fast, even when I'm speaking in Tagalog. So, I always try um, to slowly say the words, and it will always turn out that I'm saying the words like every words, and it will sounds more the Taglish word of Taglish sound of that word.
Okay. So you already have this. Ito. This is just an observation, okay? So I guess this is okay since we're just telling a story. Um, Sentence number 3. The chemistry they have is exceptional given the fact that they are lovers in real life. In business writing, this isn't really a good idea. We'd go with something as simple as they we're it's gonna be shorter, but Jam and Michelle have exceptional because they are lovers in real. There you go. So I usually it's gonna be shorter, but I expanded this to balance it out. I expanded the first part to balance out the composition. Do you see the change that I made here?
Yes, but I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be too redundant because um on the fifth sentence I also included the word Jam and Michelle.
Yeah. If
Is it okay?
if you're giving instructions or you're sharing a complicated story, it's more acceptable to sound more redundant. It's more acceptable to be redundant because
I
the
see.
goal is to be specific.
Okay.
So if you remember back when you were younger and your parents are leaving the house and leaving you in charge, you notice that when they give you instructions, they're gonna repeat a lot of the instructions over and over again because the goal is to be specific. The goal is to make sure that you remember the important details, especially in this case because of the flow of your story. There's a popular love team named Jamich back when I was in grade school. Oh yeah, I moved this here. This is a Filipino style composition. We start with nung grade school pa ako, merong napakasikat na love team. Jamich ang tawag sa kanila noon. Right? I guess that's the sentence you were thinking of when you wrote this. But in the English um, in the English composition, or especially this is how I was taught. You should write your sentence in a way where you minimize the number of commas in the sentence. So instead of saying, when I was in grade school, comma, there was a popular love team, I wrote it this way. There's a popular love team named Jamich back when I was in grade school. Okay?
Okay.
So the sentence flows a little smoother if we are composing like this instead of the other way around. So I changed a couple of more sentences like that. So anyway, and here, to make your story sound a little more understandable, you can also add a sentence here like Jamich is a YouTube channel, um, or yeah, when I encountered it, it was a YouTube channel. It's a YouTube channel. Um, it's a YouTube channel of Jam and Michelle or something like that. So just so the audience knows what you're talking about, because you jump immediately here. Jam, like they have exceptional chemistry and like right. It gets a little confusing here. And then you could say that Jam Mitch made a short film with the title text. In the story, Jam and Michelle are best friends from grade school. Oh, yeah. Here. Uh, in the story, Jam and Michelle are best friends from grade school until they are in college. And then I changed it. Michelle started to fall in love with her best friend as time went by. Hindi as time went by, Michelle went so these are small changes that makes the sentence sound a little better. Do you have any questions about how I changed the sentence? Is that part clear? At least.
Yes.
Okay. So and then we went to Michelle kept to herself because she was afraid that their friendship might be ruined. And then I changed the sequence again. Jam stopped seeing Michelle when he joined the fraternity group. Right? So this is like the old version, so I kept it here. And this is the new version, the one that's green. Um, this is the format that I see often whenever people and I know that this happens when people translate a Tagalog sentence into an English sentence. So if you want to sound, you want to follow this format if you want to sound more fluent. And I'm also guilty of this. I do this. I also do this when I speak, but when I write, I do my best to remove these small Filipino style format. So yun one day, isang araw, nakatanggap si Michelle ng balita na si Jam ay nasa ospital na may malalang kalagayan. Right? That's what the sentence is. Or that's what you were thinking when you wrote this sentence. It turns out that Jam was tortured by a group of guys which leads to his death. Michelle saw. So these all sound okay. Not gonna spend too much time here. It's my early 20s and I realized that the song it's my early 20s.
Yeah.
It's in my early 20s that I realized this song is all about forgiveness. How did you say it earlier?
I guess it's 20.
Right. So you
I
need
can still hear the.
okay. And then we are at your favorite movie. So wait, I'll be right back. I just need to pay for the water.
Sure.
Okay, so let's begin reading through your favorite movie.
Okay. This is favorite movie. One of my favorite movies is Titanic. When I'm growing up, everyone talked about how good the movie was. I'm the kind of person that when I hear the title multiple times, I don't want to watch it anymore. Titanic is based on a true story happened in 1997. It's a tragic story. Sorry. It's a tragic one. I love tragic stories. It's more realistic than stories with happy endings. Movies that can make me cry are on my top list. Last year, Titanic was launched on Netflix. Finally, I was able to watch it. Rose came from a rich family which is quite opposite to Jack. They are on the same boat going to Atlantic. Rose was unwillingly engaged to a rich guy set by her own family. One day, she found herself attempting to jump off the boat out of the straw. That's when he met Jack. Jack saved her. They ran to each other multiple times. That's when they love. That's when they fall in love. Unfortunately, the boat sides with an iceberg during their voyage. The water quickly found its way inside the boat. Jack protected Rose as much as he could. Rose survived, but Jack did not. I remember crying multiple times when I'm watching the movie. Words cannot express how good the movie is. When I'm thinking about it, it's sad indeed. Almost 1,500 people died in that disaster.
Okay.
Actually,
Go work.
yeah. I think this is the most difficult part of news activity, which is the activity. Uh, just for me, the activity three, yung favorite song and favorite movie, because it's very difficult for me to remember all the details when in terms of the movie details and then song.
When you write, are you writing on a computer or on on your notebook?
It's on my laptop.
Okay. So sometimes I write on my notebook, or I write in my notebook instead of in my computer. And I found myself with a better choice of words, and when I just find myself stuck when I'm just writing on a computer. So it's always a good idea for me to also write on paper, and then it's twice the work, but from personal experience, the quality of the work is usually better when I write on a computer. I mean, yeah, if I write in my notebook and then yeah, I edit on the computer. So, yeah. Um, so, one of your favorite movies is Titanic. I highlighted the words, so just pay attention. I'm gonna read the sentence. When I'm growing up, everyone talked about how good the movie was. So, it sounded a little like a D earlier. Titanic is based on a true story that happened in 1997. So, hindi siya 1997. Okay? 1997. Next. It's a tragic one. Better if it's specific. The story of Titanic is a tragic one. Right? I love tragic stories. Oh yeah, just the highlighted ones. They are on the same boat going to the Atlantic. So they are on the same boat going to the Atlantic. Rose was unwillingly engaged to a rich guy set by her own family. Hindi siya family, it's family. Alright? Next. One day, she found herself attempting to jump off the boat. Tama ba? Out of distraught. Okay. Nag-load yung meaning ng distraught sa utak ko. So, that's not the reaction that you want when people read your work. You want people to just read your work and enjoy it instead of loading the dictionary app in their brains or thinking of going to Google. So that's one of the ideas, okay? Or at least
Okay.
that's what I hope to accomplish when I write. I don't want my reader to Google something because like we're gonna get interrupted, right? So you want to use words that people will understand immediately, okay?
Okay.
Um, they run to each other multiple times. They run into each other multiple times. Kasi iba yung ibig sabihin ng run to each other. Diba? Parang
Okay.
nagtatakbuhan sila at nagbabanggaan sila. Parang yun yung dating nun, ng run to each other. Run into each other multiple times. Oh yeah, they run into each other multiple times. Um, Unfortunately, the boat sideswiped an iceberg during their voyage. It's voyage. Ano sabi mo kanina?
Voyage.
Voyage. Bon voyage, iba yun sa voyage. Okay? And bon voyage is French, hindi siya English. So, ganun talaga yung pronunciation nun. But in the English pronunciation, it's voyage.
Voyage. Okay.
Rose survived, but Jack did not. Okay, Jack did not. When I think about it, it's sad indeed. Hindi ko malala paano mo pinronounce. Napa-highlight na lang ako. Almost 1,500 people died in that disaster. Okay. Naalala mo pa yung pronunciation mo? Hindi ko na maalala. Napa-highlight lang ako bigla nung narinig ko. Hello? Hello?
I'm on mute.
Yep.
Which one?
Yung last two sentence, hindi ko na maalala paano mo pinronounce it. But here's my pronunciation. When I think about it, it's sad indeed. Almost 1,500 people died in that disaster. I think yung that mo, parang medyo deep pakinggan. Pero hindi ko na maalala yung eksakto. Well, ano naman, may recording naman tayo. Hopefully, narinig siya ng maayos. Medyo mahina ka magsalita kanina.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Let's proceed. So, yeah, looks like may napulot ka naman sa activity 5, activity 6. Yeah, this is okay. Activity 7. So, okay. So, unti-unti. Nakuha mo siya. Very good. Let's proceed to activity... Lesson 7, activity 2. We are activity part 2. Interesting. Advantages of being a risk taker. So you're the first one who talked about it, about this topic. So I'm very excited to hear what you have to say about the advantages of being a risk taker. So let's go.
Okay. Advantages of being a risk taker. People who hire... take the people who are a risk taker are a perfect hire for a company.
Oh, wait, pause. I want you to slow down when you read the sentences. Okay?
Sorry.
You're allowed to speed up when you read the words, but slow down when you encounter spaces, periods, commas. So, yeah. Para hindi ka mabulol. And this will also help people understand you.
Okay. People who are a risk taker are a perfect hire for a company. I remember way back in grade school, my parents were very conservative. Conservative in a way that we didn't experience it much as a child. They don't allow us to go to different places alone. They don't want us to learn how to bike because it will hurt us. They don't even want us to have a dog because it will bite us. It's like we're in a bubble for a long time doing nothing. And as I grew, craving for a chill became part of my system. I always want to get out of that comfort zone. learn new things, meet new people, be in a new environment. I love the feeling of uncertainty. It turns out that failure is better than regret. It all depends on one's perspective. If you do good, that's great. If you do bad, you'll get something to learn. Both of this will make you a better person. I learned how to grab different opportunities that I see. I also learned how to make the opportunities that I want. And if I want something, I will do whatever it takes for me to have it. Having this kind of attitude gives me an edge among other job applicants. I'm certain that I will not waste every opportunity that you'll give me. I will apply all the expertise that I learned from the benefits of the company as a whole.
Paulit ng last sentence.
I'm certain that I will not waste every opportunity that you'll give me. I will apply all the expertise that I learned for the benefit of the company as a whole.
Okay. All right. So, very good. You got through most of the sentences without an error. Congratulations. When you got to the end, bumalik na yung bad habit mo of speeding up. And if I want something, I will do whatever it takes for me to have it. Having this kind of attitude, hindi siya attitude. Attitude is the Taglish pronunciation. Having this kind of attitude gives me an edge among other job applicants. I'm certain that I will not waste every opportunity that you give me. Opportunity sa Taglish. I will apply all the expertise that I learned for the benefit of the company as a whole. Right? Mas maganda of your company as a whole. Hindi mo na kailangan yung as whole, redundant na to. Highlight ko to ng red. Diba? Kunyari, ayain kita mag-hangout. Tapos, sinabi ko, kain tayo ng lunch ng buong buo. Parang, di ba parang hindi appropriate na i-add mo yung word na buong buo dun sa lunch. In the same way, parang ganun yung dating nitong sentence mo. Parang, I will apply, eto na rin ito na rin kasi yun highlight ko tong, ano nalagay ko? Hindi naman yellow, hindi naman red. Highlight ko na lang to ng pink. I will apply, ito na, all the. Ibig sabihin lahat. Right?
Okay.
All the expertise that I learned. So, lahat, i-apply ko lahat ng natutunan ko for the benefit of the company as a whole. Diba? Pag sinabi nating, we will have lunch or we will have dinner, hindi na natin kailangan sabihin na, we will have a complete lunch or a complete dinner. Kasi pag sinabi mo ng we will have lunch or we will have dinner, understood na yun, right?
Yeah.
So, yun, medyo So, sulat ko dito, be mindful of redundant words. So, one of the things na na-mention mo kanina nung nag-uusap tayo is you're a little worried about pronouns kasi it might sound redundant. Okay? There's a difference between being redundant and being specific.
Okay.
Okay? So, usually ganito. If you are writing on the next sentence, okay lang na ulitin mo yung some parts. But, dito sa part na to na we spent some time with, I will apply all the expertise that I learned from for the benefit of your company as a whole. In both these corrections kasi, nangyari yung redundant part dun sa same sentence. Okay? So, kung nasa separate sentence siya, sometimes it's okay to add the detail again to make it sound more specific. But if it's on the same sentence, then mas mataas yung risk na maging redundant yung choice of words mo. Gets?
Yes.
And
Okay.
yun yung main reason kung bakit tayo nag-iiksi. Sorry nagpa-practice akong Tagalog habang tinuturuan ko ito mag-English. Ito na lang para mas matulungan kita. Kita mo yung dalawang sentence?
Yes.
Same idea, di ba? More or less. Basahin mo nga siya.
I will apply my expertise. Your company will benefit from all my skills.
Does this mean roughly the same as the original sentence?
Yes.
Diba? So, in a lot of cases, the correction will work kung iksian mo yung sentence. Right? So, yun. Kasi this is a lot easier for me to remember. If I break down the sentence, then mas madaling i-convey yung idea. Especially kung ang sakit mo, nag-a-add ka ng extra words for emphasis. And alam ko, yun yung reason ba't dinadagdag to. You want to emphasize important points. Oh, OCD ka?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Here on the sentence wherein you highlighted it in green, your company will benefit from all my skills. The word from all my skills is different from all of my skills.
Pwedeng
Or is this the same?
Hindi ako 100% sure. So, tignan natin. Usually, ito ginagawa ko pag hindi ako sure. Ikaw pala yun. Your company will benefit from my skills. Your company will benefit from all my skills. Or your company will benefit from all of my skills. It really depends on how you want to... Kasi final sentence to eh. For me, it's more or less the same.
Okay.
Optional na lang. Like which one you want. If you're trying to shorten, you can pick the shortest one.
Okay.
Pero interesting tong question na to. Ngayon lang may nagtanong sa akin ng ganito. Let's proceed to number 2. Advantages of being an... Alam ko hindi being obsessive compulsive eh. Advantages of having an obsessive compulsive disorder. Pero baka mild lang yung sayo, kaya okay lang. Kaya obsessive compulsive lang. Pero, sige, let's go. Please begin reading.
Okay. People who are OC are less twice happy. It was in my high school year when I learned how to do my own laundry. My favorite part of the laundry process is when I hang it up. I will arrange it based on the length. It's like all the dresses will go first. Next is the long sleeves, followed by the shirts and crop tops. It's satisfying for me to see how arranged it is. It applies to my room and even in my workspace. I hate being in messy places. When dating, hygiene plays an important factor for me. If the guy is hygienic, it's a plus point. If the guy has poor hygiene, I won't meet him ever again. Being OC helps me to be proactive as well. I plan my 10 years ahead. What are the goals that I want? When do I need to achieve those? What are the steps that I need to take to make sure that I will get what I want? I believe that whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve. I also back it up with different paths that I could take just in case things won't go as I planned. Clarity is the way to success. If you're clear about your goals in life, you will know exactly what directions you have to take. You won't get lost. Even when working, I have this kind of mindset. I have personal deadlines. I always try to step back and see the bigger picture. What are the things that I need to finish? How can I integrate? By doing this, I became more efficient. Having an efficient employee is a great factor for a company. That's exactly the reason why I am fit for the job that I am applying for.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Tinig mo ba yung test? Personality test?
Yes.
Anong score mo sa conscientiousness?
Wait, actually, I forgot to take note of that.
Ano ba yan? Take mo siya ulit, tapos send mo sa akin yung score mo.
Okay.
Very interesting. Okay. So, highlighted yellow. Pakiulit to, itong word na to.
Those.
Sa amin mong sentence.
When do I need to achieve those?
When do I need to achieve those? So,
Yes.
i-emphasize mo yung TH sound. Those.
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 Okay. A lot better. Next highlighted set. Basahin mo yung buong sentence.
Okay. I believe that whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve.
I believe that whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve.
Okay.
Your turn.
I believe that whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve.
Conceive, achieve.
Conceive, achieve.
Conceive,
Conceive,
achieve.
achieve. I have
Ulit,
emphasized
achieve.
sa H.
Ha? Meron yan, achieve.
Achieve.
O, ulit.
Okay. I believe that whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve.
Ulit tayo I believe that whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve.
Okay.
So, conceive, achieve.
Conceive, achieve.
Conceive, achieve.
Again.
Okay. I believe that whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve.
Okay, I'll try that. I believe that whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve.
Okay. Very good. Isa pa. Para lang sure.
I believe that whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve.
Very good. So, hindi siya conceive, achieve. Conceive, achieve. Alright? Tandaan mo yan.
Okay.
Kasi quote to
Yeah.
Kung gagamit ka ng quote, make sure na tama ang pronunciation mo. So, next. Inayos ko to. I have this kind of mindset even when working. Sige nga, basahin mo.
I have this kind of mindset even when working.
Okay. Alright. Next. Advantages of hiring Jessa.
Okay. Parang pinagsama ko lang din advantages.
Well, that's the idea. Kaya nga pinauna ko yun Alam ko,
Okay.
dapat lalabas dito yung mga unang sinulat mo
Alright. I am an OC. I see the small problems in every situation. When I see it, I think of different ideas on how I can fix them. I think of ideas on how I can make it better. And then I implement it. That's when you realize that you can make something better. I know exactly what I want. I've planned everything strategically. Yeah. I planned everything strategically. I set deadlines and finish them accordingly. I also tend to integrate. It helps me be more efficient. It helps me to do more things in a limited time. I also love taking risks. I always want to get out of my comfort zone. Learn new things, meet new people, be in a new environment. I love the feeling of uncertainty. It turns out that failure is better than regret. It all depends on one's perspective. If you do good, that's great. If you do bad, you'll get something to learn. Both of these will make you a better person. I learned to grab different opportunities that I see. I also learned how to make the opportunities that I want. And if I want something, I will do whatever it takes for me to have it. Having this kind of attitude gives me an edge among other job applicants. I'm certain that I will not waste every opportunity that you'll give me. I will, oh yeah, did the error a while ago.
Yeah. Alam mo na gagawin mo dito. Anyway, good job kasi mukhang nakinig ka naman sa mga suggestions ko. Pinapakinggan ko yung mga words na naka-highlight kanina na lumabas dito ulit and maayos na yung pronunciation mo. So, great work. Great work. So, yun. So for a lot of the grammar errors that we corrected or a lot of the confusing parts dun sa composition mo can be remedied by shortening the sentence. Okay? So let's just go through the final part. So just read so activity 1 to what you learned, activity 1 to activity 7. And then just read part 2 overall feedback and you have suggestions. Thank you. Sige. All right. Read your suggestions then. And then, I'm gonna answer your questions, okay?
Okay. So part 1, final activity part 1, right?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wait. I'm gonna add something. Okay. Let's go.
Should I also say the sentence that you add?
Yep. I added that there, so you have a title.
Okay. I'm going to talk about what I learned from the first week of English lessons. For the activity 1, I learned how to properly introduce myself. It's important for you to say what your interests are so you can talk more about yourself. This lesson applies to personal conversation because of the first and third. This lesson applies to personal conversation because first impression lasts.
Ulit.
For activity.
Inayos ka na.
Thank you. This lesson applies to personal conversation because first impression lasts. Activity 2, I learned the difference between the question, where do you live, and where do you from? And because I thought before that it's just the same.
Ay, nice ko na.
Okay. It's important that you know how to answer basic questions that an interviewer may ask. This lesson applies to personal conversation because we always encounter these questions whenever we are. Activity 3, I learned how to give proper instructions. Working in a call center requires me to make instructions for the clients. Anyone can relate and follow what you're talking about by including landmarks and streets. Activity 4, I learned to connect my past stories to the future. It's important that you tell stories when you're answering questions. Anyone can feel the connection when you tell stories.
Teka lang, pause muna tayo. Correct na
Okay?
natin siya bago tayo mag-proceed. Anyone can feel.
Anyone can feel.
Yeah, hindi siya ano sabi mo? Feel? Anyway, feel.
Feel.
Yeah, feel. So, long E sound tawag dito.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so, continue.
Okay. Activity 5. I'll learn some common pronunciation mistakes. Pronunciation is a great factor in a call center screening. Some people respect you based on how well you can communicate. For activity 6, I learned how to do one-sentence paragraphs. You can easily spot errors by doing this. It will help you interpret your words clearly. And lastly, for activity 7, I learned that the shorter the sentence, the better. Long sentences can be painful to read. Always remove unnecessary words.
Okay, teka.
Okay.
Before we continue, that. Paulit
That.
ng word. That.
Okay lang.
Hindi, kaya mo naman siya. Lakihan mo lang. When you say the word that, or when you say the word that, maliit yung bibig mo. But this time, the only difference is just open your mouth wider. That. Right?
Okay. I learned that.
Very good. Now read the entire sentence.
I learned that the shorter the sentence, the better.
Very good. Okay, so let's proceed. Part 2.
Feedback. Overall feedback. It helped me to impress my thoughts when writing. I learned what mistakes I can encounter in pronouncing words. All the lessons that I learned this week won't improve my writing skill. This lesson also gave me ideas on how I can answer questions properly. Okay.
Okay, so just one word, overall.
Overall.
Yeah, overall.
Overall.
So overall.
Overall.
Okay, let's slow down. So over. Lagyan mo ang W. Over. And then all. Very good. Overall. Okay. Isa pa. Last. Sama mo yung katabing word para mabulol ka pa. Overall feedback. Very good. Right? So, in a lot of, may encounter mo to sa session 2 kasi sa session 2 para pronunciation na tayo. Overall. Ba't ko inulit? Overtime na tayo. Overtime. Sa session 2 is mostly pronunciation. So, we're gonna read the top 100 most used words in the English language and you're going to do more reading and we're gonna stick more into we're gonna follow a more English-only policy on session 2. Except if I have to explain things and hindi nag-work yung English ko sa. But I don't think that's gonna be a problem. So, let's go. Suggestion.
Should I read it myself?
Yeah, just read that.
Okay. For the suggestions, I'm just thinking that it would be better if we format only 3 paragraphs in Activity 7, Part 1. Instead, increase the number in Activity 7, Part 2. For example,
okay.
Yeah. For example, we need to make our own 3. Mali naman ang pronunciation. Wait lang. For example, we need to make our own 3 to 4 paragraphs.
Okay.
In that way, we want we won't be lost in words as we know exactly what we're talking about. Ayan.
Okay. Yeah, good suggestion. Good suggestion. Um, One of the reasons why I gave a lot of examples, napanood mo ba yung video ng Activity 7?
What is it all about? I think no.
Okay, I added a video, but before the video, one of the things I noticed is that a lot of people had a difficult time understanding the concept of shortening the sentence because nakadrill na sa atin na we have to write long sentences. So, for people to get used to practicing, I need to give them more repetitions. And then, ang nangyari kasi, activity part 1 is more of just formatting, just chopping up that long sentence into multiple short sentences. And then activity 2 will combine two skills. The part where you chop up the sentence, the long sentence into short sentence, and then the part where you also combine your input. So in the first activity, there's a single task for each item. In the second activity, there are two tasks. You have to compose and you have to chop up your answers into multiple sentences. And then part 3 is just go back through everything and then chop up anything that you haven't chopped up yet. So that's the idea. But I like your suggestion of adding more activities to part 2. Okay?
Okay.
So yeah, like sure, I'll add more in the future. So I see here on your questions. Can you elaborate how the American R sound, lesson 5? Can you elaborate the I and E sounds? Um, I we already sent you the activity 2. I have a video there where I elaborate on all of that, but I'll give you the short version. Um, I'm trying to think of a word that has like a Taglish pronunciation and an English pronunciation. But let's start with this name, right? In the Taglish pronunciation, the name is Roberto, right? Roberto. But in the English pronunciation, it's Roberto. It's Roberto.
Okay.
If it's Taglish, the word is pirate, right? Pirate. If it's English, it's pirate, right? If it's, yun, expression ko, right? But if it's Taglish, it's right. Gets mo? So that so the Taglish version is it's a harder sound. It's harder R sound, right? But in the English version, it's smoother. That's why in the lesson, I think I used the explanation. The Filipino R sounds more like a pirate saying R, but the English version is more like R. Okay.
Okay.
Like I should shoot a video explaining that. About the I and E sound. A lot of the people who live in the province, I usually hear this with people with my students who are from the Visayas region. They sometimes mix the I and E. So what's a word that has I and E? Oh, there you go. Can you elaborate? Hindi siya elaborate sa kanila. When I communicate, nagiging yung verbally, nagiging verbally. Parang ano nila, instead of making the E sound, it makes the I sound. They make the I sound instead. So, what do you mean pala with how to use the I and the E sound?
On the lessons ko kasi, It's not, I can't understand it. Parang medyo namugulang po ako dun sa lesson about the I and the sound.
Oh, okay.
Parang hindi ko siya masyadong gets kung paano ba talaga siya dapat i-pronounce.
Okay. Well, I'll check that. But please watch the pronunciation video.
Okay.
So at the bottom of your session of the yung download link ng activities for week 2, there's a link that goes to our pronunciation videos. So you can check that out. And then, as you said, like if that's a little confusing, I'll look into it, and then I'll record the video to explain everything further. Okay? And then let me know kung kulang pa, and I'll do my best to write something for you. Okay?
Alright.
And then let's proceed to question 3, your final question. When I communicate verbally, I find it hard to think of the right words to use. Unlike writing, I can reformat it easily. Do you have any tips that I can use? Okay.
Actually, okay. Actually, I think I have
You figured it out?
for this. Yeah, because recently I watched one of your coaching session, and then one thing that it said is that sometimes people block out of what they are going to use words because they are not used on constructing words in terms of writing. So I guess I have to write more.
Yeah. My answer is to do more writing. I have a second answer, and I don't feel that I've emphasized this part enough, so I'm going to share it with you now. So my first answer is write more. My second answer is write in the same manner as you speak. Write the same way as you speak. And that's the main reason why I emphasize on using simpler sentences. Because we speak using simpler sentences. We do not say, when I communicate verbally, I find it hard to think of the right words to use. Unlike in writing, I can reformat it easily. Do you have any tips that I can use? I have a difficult time communicating. I find it hard to think of the right words to use. I don't have a problem writing. I can reformat easily. Do you have any tips for me? Or do you have any tips that I can use? Like, those are like, those are using another set of words with the same idea, but it's simpler, right?
Yes.
You're still used to a format that we are drilled back in high school and college. So write more, simplify, write as if you are going to read it publicly. You make videos.
Yes.
Every time you encounter a sentence, take out your phone, set your video recorder on selfie, and start reading that sentence. Play back the sentence and listen to it. Does this sound good? If it doesn't sound good, then change the sentence. Make it simpler. And as you've seen during our session, we can make a confusing sentence easy to understand just by breaking it down. Sometimes you require 2 sentences, but you're trying to force all the ideas in one sentence, right? So that's it. Do you have other questions, or did you think of a question like while we're having a session? Anything I missed?
Nothing, but can you please send the activity too? Because I think I lost it.
Activity 2.
No, wait.
Oh, it should show up in your search if you search for the email address that we used to send. But if can you send me a message if you still can't find it, and then I need to manually send it.
Kasi last time kasi nag-ano ko, yung nag-reformat ako nung ano ko, ng um, nung dito sa email ko. So, the last time nga parang nag-ask ako if pwede bang sa another email na lang. Pero nasend na ata yung activity 1 dito sa email na to. So, ayun.
Okay, I'll check and we'll get back to you. I'll be on my computer later anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, additional questions?
Alan, wala pa.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, and thank you for joining today's session. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Coach Kevin.
All right, you're welcome.